I didn't even tell them that I was about to do this because I wanted them to also react naturally to it. Yeah. And so I squeezed them into the little bitty box while they're still talking about how the event went. And I showed them like enjoying those moments. Yeah. And like naturally that wouldn't have happened. Right? There was no writing and producing that was going in. As seeing the moment, seeing what was happening, and noticing that that's more important than what has to be said right now.
Welcome back to another episode of Around the Bar. Today we have one of my inspirations and one of my biggest mentors in esports. His name is Corey Dunn. If you guys don't know, he has 20 years of experience in esports. He's been a commentator in Call of Duty and tons of other esports. He's been a director, and he's also been a producer with events in esports. We get really nerdy in this one. All right, so lock in and enjoy this episode of Around the Bar with Corey Dunn. Welcome back to another episode of Around the Bar. Today we have the man behind the scenes, but the legend, Mr. Corey Dunn.
Cheers.
We are drinking Shiner Bock.
Yeah, which we just learned is an amber lager. So
an amber lager. It says it nowhere on the bottle. Is your favorite beer?
If it's an easy go-to. It's something that you can always just find anywhere you go. You don't have to ask any questions. Usually on tap in Texas. So
yeah, it seems like Texas.
It's just easy.
It reminds me. There's a beer in North Carolina called Red. Now I forgot it. I haven't been in North Carolina so long, but I think it's called Red. Dang, what is it called?
It sounds really good.
Yeah, it's trust me, it's great. Trust me, it's great, but it reminds me a lot of that because I don't know if this is sold nation. Matt, have you ever heard of Shiner Bock? Oh, you have? Okay.
Oh, yeah. No, so I usually drink
Red Oak. That's what it's called. Okay. Red Oak. Duh.
Yeah. I usually would drink like an IPA.
Yeah.
But I've got this really weird thing that I didn't want to do to you. It's like I actually start sneezing on the second beer. So it'd probably not be that great. It's like always on cue as well.
Trust me, I understand. Like, with all my nose issues, it's like a couple drinks in and I'm all over the place. I'm sniffling or I'm sneezing, and if I get drunk, like the day after is really bad, really bad.
And I usually drink old fashions, a Maker's Mark, but time of day, being a dad, I wanted to also make sure that I could get home.
Absolutely.
So that was the other aspect.
How often? When was the last time you really went wild? As a dad of two, married for how many years?
10.
10 years. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yep.
But at the end of the day, you're working in esports. So the way to Hector told me early on in my career, the way to make it in esports is to drink with people.
That's funny. That's true. It's very valid.
Look where we're at.
Yeah, no. The last time I went wild, man. Basically, usually it's whenever I'm like comfortable around a bunch of my friends.
Yeah.
My friends always think that I'm like one of the greater drunks because I'm super happy. And
I can imagine.
Super friendly, and so I'm also kind of just like open to do whatever. And I still remember there's a bachelor party that I went to in San Diego. We're at the Gaslight District. And you know those bikes, those like city bikes?
Yeah.
Well, they also lock until you actually rent them.
Right.
I carried it an entire block with me, just saying like, this is my bike. Do not remember a thing. The next day I was completely out of it.
Yeah.
That was several years ago. So I mean, it's been a minute since I've gotten that drunk.
Carried a bike.
Yeah.
This is my bike. This is what we're doing.
this is my thing. So
that sounds like a good time though.
Yeah. No, it was a blast. Yeah.
So if you're unfamiliar with Corey, it's probably because you've watched many things that he has been a part of, but it is mostly nowadays behind the scenes.
Yep.
So let's talk first and foremost, just to pull people in. Let's talk about the OpTic champs. When it hit your doorstep, when it hit your desk that OpTic was going to be hosting champs and that you were going to be producing it, what was your first thought with that?
Is full excitement.
Yeah,
it was something. So I even found out that it was even a possibility. I went to the Vegas champs the year before, the season before, and a lot of my peers that are around behind the scenes are going, why is he here?
Right. Yeah.
And at that point, I was really trying to learn a lot about things that I may have been missing over the past few years.
So did you already know about champs?
I knew about it as a potential.
Oh, wow. I didn't know it was that early.
That's how early it was. Now, I didn't get the approval until much later.
Yeah.
But at least I had something in my head thinking about how we could be able to approach it a little differently.
Yeah.
But also leverage things that were working well, right? Like it's not always about rebuilding the ship every single time.
Yeah.
And so I was there to be able to pay attention to it. But whenever it came across, it excited me. It felt like every year that since I've been a part of the OpTic crew on being able to build out majors.
Right.
Major one, how cool it was, the excitement it was, and that was just at the showroom in the stadium,
just at the showroom.
And then we did the Fan Fest,
Major 3,
which Major 3 was sick. That was also incredible. So it's only felt like we were just building to something else, and I think Activision thought the same thing, and so they allowed us to be able to do champs, and it was one of the areas that was so fun for me because I had so many people that believed in what we could design that made sense for our fans, and that's what everybody saw the result.
Yeah, I think Major 3 was important because it was the first time that, to my knowledge, that people bought tickets for not the main showroom.
Correct.
They bought tickets to be near it.
Yep.
Because it sold out. There was still available tickets to be around the atmosphere, to be in the there's a room that we had, a huge room where all of challengers took place, where there were like activations, there was a smooth competition area, there was food, and then there was a big huge viewing area as well. And people bought tickets just to watch together in the same environment. And I think that was special because we sold out ESA twice.
Yep.
And then we went bigger and we sold out that as well.
Yeah.
This past year.
What's cool about the Fan Fest that most people don't understand is that we have to brand those events as OpTic Texas. And so one of the things that we were able to work out was we designed the showroom space to be OpTic Texas, but more importantly, Call of Duty League.
Yeah.
And so if you remember, we built it out so that you could actually purchase Atlanta FaZe merch and LA Thieves merch and everything else. So we wanted to be this all-encompassing Call of Duty League. And then all of the expo hall, which is about 48,000 square feet, was all OpTic.
All OpTic,
And we did smooth competition. Yeah. We had the big, huge court. We had a half court. We had, of course, our large merch booth because we had to be able to kind of fill for everybody's needs for that.
Right, yeah.
And then we also did, we worked with the Sidekicks and did a whole soccer pitch as well. And that was cool. So leaning into the culture of OpTic and it really came through, and even doing some like little side shows and stuff like that at the same time. So
no, that was sick. And then of course we went, you went big. The Allen, speaking of the Sidekicks, where the Sidekicks play, we went to Allen Convention Center. And how many tickets were sold for Saturday, Sunday?
So give or take about 6,600. So it's somewhere in that ballpark across the for Saturday and then also Sunday. And then Thursday and Friday, I mean, they did so well. It was so perfect.
Yeah. No, I can't believe how packed it was on Thursday.
Yeah. Do you remember match 1 on Thursday?
Yes.
And that was like, if this is how it felt already.
I know. I remember going up to you and I was like, and how many? We're supposed to have 40% more people here on Saturday, Sunday. What? And then, of course, I mean, thank God. It's funny because in Major 1, in Major 3, and this isn't helping the OpTic only plays good at our own majors argument, but they made it to grand finals of all 3 of those tournaments. And it's just like, thank God. Because I can't imagine we've had the luxury of being able to put together events and our team making it to the finals. How many times have you put together? Well, first of all, let's not go there. Let's what were how difficult was it to do certain things in order to make the OpTic champs what it was? Because I didn't know And I work very closely with you, but for that one, I was you were trying to get, I was not a very good worker and friend up until the weekend of.
It's okay.
But
I had good peers around me.
You, you had the bracelets. How difficult was it to get the bracelets?
All right, done? so getting the bracelets done.
Yeah,
it's always a matter of. Unfortunately, this is more businessy of me.
Yeah, that's fine.
So I always try to dream big, no matter what. Most people don't know. Whenever I design events, I start from scratch. I don't build from something that I've already had. Even to discussing some of the other things that we're going to be doing later this year.
Yeah.
I'm also starting from scratch.
Yeah.
Even though we had a hellacious champs, I'm still starting from scratch. And the reason for that is you're able to get as most creative as possible.
Yeah.
And then you can actually take the knowledge and everything else that you learned in the past, and then you apply it. Because if you apply too soon, you just do the same thing over and over and over again, and that's not always the right answer.
Right.
And so that's something that I've always applied in everything I've done from commentating way back when to directing for a lot of the larger shows to then getting into event production with the stadium and thus forth. So like to answer your question though, whenever you dream big, you can't always afford it. And affording is, just
I've learned that.
We were looking through.
You've helped me learn that.
Yes, we were looking at budgets, and some of the things though I don't stop there. So we leverage our our partners and things. And so I said directly to Shay, I was like, hey, I want this to happen. It's so incredibly important that we get this. If you let me have conversations, if we need to explain the engagement, the immersion behind it,
right?
Because it's not going to deliver the impressions. It's only going to hit the people that are inside the venue at the time,
right?
But guess what? It made a hellacious impact.
It definitely did.
From the walkouts, whenever people would come out, to whenever round 11 would happen and everything would flicker red.
Yeah.
To even whenever OpTic won. This is the story. Even Hex didn't know this. I told him this at Esports Awards. Whenever the championship ended around 4:30, p.m. Central.
Yeah.
At 10 o'clock at night, people's bands were still green.
We're still glowing
and they were
green.
still tweeting it out.
Yeah.
And it's like that, you don't get that with anything else. And so that was what was so important to me, is creating the engagement. Because for us, we produce too many shows on the event side.
Yeah.
We need to get back to doing events. And that's one of the things I always love about doing the off season and other stuff, because it's truly about the event. It's about not just being a spectator, paying a ticket to watch a show. Yeah. It's about being a spectator to be a part of the show.
To be a part of it, to be an element that it makes the show better, which I think a lot of when you look at events outside of esports, is it difficult? Not difficult, but is it annoying to go to events, whether it's a football game, whether it's a concert or a movie production? Is it difficult to go there and you're just looking at the lights and the elements of the shows? Because I find myself doing that at football games a lot. I'm like, how much did this cost, and what events team, what design team do they have that were able to make this stuff happen? Do you do that as well?
I'm a dad, so I don't get out. No. But honestly, whenever I really got into the production side and being a director for shows, I couldn't stop. It was killing me, and to the point where this is why I watch cartoons. This is why I watch anime, because it disconnects me so far away. Like I would break down, like, why is this lighting set up in a certain way, and the different camera call. I just even for like standard shows, let alone broadcast. And then my little sister, she's 7 years younger than me.
Okay.
And she works for a broadcast group that does all the graphics. So if you watch the NHL or the first down line in football, her company is the one that does those types of things. And so we talk shop.
I can't even imagine. A family dinner is like a business meeting.
Luckily, we only talk shop when things are going a little. We're trying to figure things out.
Yeah.
But we get to we're goofy. We disconnect ourselves. Like we try to just be ourselves more than anything else. But but the amount of things that we know collectively now is insane.
I don't know if you caught wind of all of the drama that happened after we won champs, but they basically credited your event with the reason that we won. So congratulations, you get a ring. I think you get a ring.
I try my best.
We got the dynasty team to walk out, and you put the bracelets on, and there was drums in the balcony, and so we should both get rings. I think that's how it works.
I mean, we're the sixth man or fifth man or whatever man we are in this particular case. But no, it's always fun because we tell the story all the time that we won OpTic, and this is whenever I wasn't with OpTic. Whenever I used to do all the MLGs back in the day. Yeah. Even whenever I was working with ESL from the Counter-Strike side, like we were always like, you want a particular team to get to a point, so that way the fans are still engaged, they're still going through. So like, I'm happy. I work with OpTic, and we get to create really cool stuff, and the storytelling was there, and even more so, like kudos to you guys on getting the Dynasty team out.
Oh yeah.
And then I worked all the logistics behind the scenes.
It's crazy how that kind of stuff.
You guys had the
together.
Creativity, and then I was able to fulfill the rest of it through logistics and understanding. Because you know how hard that was.
Oh, people don't know that.
They had the finals figured out. They had the walkout completely figured out with an orchestra, which had beats and everything. Exactly. And so I was like,
you had to hit your mark.
Like, please let me do this. They're like, well, we have all these things. I was like, please understand. This moment is so critical and so necessary that I will continue to fight for this one piece. And
this is Saturday night.
Yep.
This the last series of Saturday night, I asked Seth, I was like, yo, you want to walk out tomorrow? Just jokingly, thinking he was going to say no. And he was like, I'll walk out.
Yeah.
And then from that moment, I went to you and said, is this possible? You said, if you can get all of them, I'll make it happen. I'll try my best to make it happen. Then I didn't know if formal one. So I gathered them in like chickens, and I was like, hey, will you guys walk tomorrow? You made it happen. And then lo and behold, we get a really iconic moment of last.
That photo too.
The photo of all 8 of them. Yeah, so good. What a moment. And that I feel like that kind of moment can't only happen with OpTic, but it does hit when it is OpTic.
Yeah, but that's the important part is I shared a tweet about it before. It's like I stopped producing shows and started focusing on capturing moments because the stories, for some reason, always find a way.
Yeah.
And so if you see them, be ready for them and capture those moments as a live person, live production person. Like that's what it's all about, because those are more impactful moments than anything else you can do. I was directing the CSGO major in Columbus. And we had Team Liquid at the time with the Brazilian team. They just won the event. And most people don't know, behind the scenes, I've got camera guys. Usually I'm directing about 50-plus people on a live show. And I've got my camera guys saying, hey, are we good to start wrapping up? And we're in the analyst segment to like really, truly wrap the show. And I was like, oh, no. Stand by with me. I keep shooting things that I can't see. And at those moments, you were seeing the Brazilian players celebrate with their family.
Right.
They were hugging their moms. They're crying. And you can and so getting the chance to see Taco and everybody else that was just Coldzera and all of them, just taking in the moment. And so there was a scene that I created with the guys. It's called a Big Little or 60-30 or something, where it's a big box and there's a little box. And I didn't even tell my guys, so that was the time with Richard Lewis, Thor, and Sir Scoots, like all these crazy guys. Sorry for any Call of Duty guys, but like from the Counter-Strike side, those are iconic members who have been a part of the scene for a while.
Right.
I didn't even tell them that I was about to do this because I wanted them to also react naturally to it. And so I squeezed them into the little bitty box while they're still talking about how the event went, and I showed them like enjoying those moments. And like naturally that wouldn't have happened, right? There was no writing and producing that was going in, as seeing the moment, seeing what's happening, and noticing that that's more important than what has to be said right now. And that's what I always try to apply to everything else that we do.
Yeah. And I mean, you're really good at it. And I just want to put the record straight. You were not the ones that put the 2 girlfriends beside each other.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. So we're doing our thing. Yeah. And so there is a balancing between what broadcast production does and what we do from a live event. So kudos to the broadcast production crew in regards to a lot of the motion graphics that you saw. Oh yeah, the walkouts. Crew, those are sick. So that crew is really good on the front of house side, and the broadcast side, they're good too. But that one moment, my eyes went.
I couldn't believe it.
And I got bombarded with, Corey, was this you?
Yeah,
this is from the leaks. I was like, no shot.
That is not me.
No. It's one thing to accidentally capture one of them. And then be like, oh, okay, whatever, we move on. You might hear some crowd reacting to the camera shot. Yeah. It is what it is. But the fact that they did split screen, showed them, put them side by side, and let them have a verbal conversation across it.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. That was like oh, brother. All right. But yes, that was not me. Thank you. I'm
literally sitting there.
Thank you for setting the record straight on that one.
Blake said, "Oh my God, is this really happening?" And I looked up, and then I looked over towards you, and you were just like, I think you were looking at like what, or somebody in your
oh no,
in your little area.
Oh, I was like, I had gotten text messages, and I was like,
that is so funny.
I know I'm good.
That is so funny. So yeah, that was the just a little insight onto one event that Corey has produced, that you have produced. It was the OpTic Champs, which went amazing, and of course the 3 majors. I think Major 1 is my favorite. I think that's my favorite esport event ever. Was Major 1.
Well, I mean, what I loved about Major 1 is everybody in OpTic was involved.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
being able to see
we worked our ass off.
watching Niak come out in
a wife beater and green hair,
and he's jamming out to Eminem with a spectator in the crowd who's also wearing the same thing.
Right?
Like, the energy was just electric. Like it's what you want out of a show. And and one of the things I think that Activision has learned working with us, because I still remember in 2019 at the Allen Event Center. So Champs was the second time that I'd been at the Allen Event Center.
Oh, you did?
So I did Overwatch League, the very first Overwatch League homestand. I also produced.
Okay.
But that was the first time for me to actually work with a broadcast group. While I handled everything that was inside the arena,
okay,
they handled broadcast. Well,
do you only do that with like Blizzard?
Yeah.
Okay, so Blizzard usually has a team for broadcast, a team for in-house. Okay.
Luckily, they're good friends across the board on the production side, so we're usually able to kind of talk through a lot of stuff to make it work really well.
Yeah.
Well, 2019, I don't think Overwatch was ready for the amount of energy that we were going to have throughout the entire time frame.
Right.
And what was fascinating is I still remember this moment. Like, I had the crowd, like, this is during breaks.
Right.
Okay. Let's like
not on broadcast.
Not on broadcast at all.
We will be right back. Screen.
Yeah. Exactly. So we have 5,000 plus people that are in the arena at that time, and the crowd is just roaring, going nuts.
Yeah.
And we come back, or they come back from commercial, and it's like 3, 2, 1, and back to broadcast. And this is this heartfelt moment, and the crowd's just roaring right now. It's like, and I can't believe blah blah blah. Yeah, and it's like, oh yeah, we were on two.
We were on two different pages,
two different spaces.
You come back from like a energetic, side moment, and then they have like a
So I was like, got it. Our run of shows. Like, let me know when you have this heartfelt moment, and I'll meet you there.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
But I was here. The crowd was nuts.
That's so. Is that the event that somebody hit the?
Yeah. That's a conversation you and I can go through for a lot. So Champs. So everybody asks me, it's like, hey Corey, how do you handle the stress so well? And I tell people all the time, it's like it's the duck on the pond scenario. On the surface, I'm calm, cool, and collect. Underneath, my feet is just kicking as fast as possible.
Yes.
But so Champs. We were working through some challenges and stuff from the player practice areas. Players never said a thing to us about it, but we worked through it. And again, I'm amazed that nobody said anything.
That's
like,
good, though.
We're like, holy, because that was my biggest thing, my biggest pain point.
Yeah.
But then CrowdStrike happened. So CrowdStrike was whenever the ticketing platform, Ticketmaster, also went down.
I forgot about that.
And so we had to gauge exactly how we're going to handle it. This is right before doors were opening.
Right. Ticketmaster went down.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so Ticketmaster has this like amoeba thing that how you scan. So that's how we know it's a valid ticket.
Right.
And so we have to be mindful of security. Like, we can't let everybody in just to like, oh, we trust you. Come on in. Like, it's like we have to be mindful of everybody that's coming through the door. And we came up with the perfect solution. We worked with the security, the broadcast, the venue, and ourselves, and really kind of came up with the right solution. So that's, again, people are like, well, how do you handle that type of stress? Like, that's crazy. Well, it's when you go through situations where, like you were talking about in 2019 with the Overwatch League, there was a right in the middle of the first match of the entire event.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking about the break, right? So right off the rip, the break of first map 1, they're going out there, and then
blackout.
Full blackout. And we're like, oh crap. And then all of a sudden, within about a few minutes, it just like everything comes back up in the venue.
Right.
Not everywhere else. So everything, so all the emergency lighting, everything else, we were able to, so within a few minutes, we were able to then start producing. So most people don't know, I create a lot of extra content or try to do something extra. So that way, in case I need it, I've got it. Well, I usually gauge I'm going to use about 20% of that content. I used a lot.
Yeah.
Where I bounce between crowd interaction, music, to content, everything else. And so I was able to keep a crowd, without knowing I was about to, keep a crowd ready to rock and roll for 45 minutes. While the league figured out how they were going to redo starting map 1, get the broadcast back on air and all that stuff. So
you just did crowd control.
I did crowd control, and when we came back, the crowd was like, "Let's go!"
They were hype.
So no one left the building. All we did was bring more people in. Like it was just
awesome.
it was super hype.
But what had happened?
So there was a car that actually ran into a transformer that knocked out the entire city block at that point.
That's some shit that would only happen after you spend a month and a half or 2 months planning.
So there's points though you have to like remember things that are in your control and things that are not. So you don't just brush everything off. You just have to remember like that's something that's out of our control. Let's solve the problem that we can right now, and we'll figure it out.
There's always a way to solve it. There is almost always a way to solve it.
Well, there's an answer for everything,
right?
Like whether it's the perfect answer or whatever. Like in the end of the day, there's an answer for everything. So,
and if you haven't seen, somehow you didn't know who Corey was, you haven't seen any of the events he's produced, then I don't know what you've been doing. But if you're an OpTic fan, you for sure heard his voice
at some point.
I kind of want to talk about your commentary career as well, because the one clip that Seth has that has withstood this test of time is a Black Ops 1 clip. I don't know if you can find it, Matt.
Good luck.
I don't even remember the map name. What's the name of the map?
I mean, firing range.
No, it's the one with the two sides. There's one lane goes down the middle of the map, and then 2 sides of buildings.
You're tapping into
and Seth goes on like
that I cannot remember.
No, it's not any of those. You're gonna have to scroll down. Oh God. Yeah. Lord. I bet you people are freaking out in the comments right now. Keep going down. Keep going down. Keep going down.
What summit?
Oh God, this is not good.
Unfortunately, this is where I'm not going to be able to help you.
Yeah. Well, regardless.
Because it's always fun for me because I run into the players all the time and I get the, hey Corey, you remember when you casted this one moment? It's like I remember it forever, and I'm like, yeah, me too.
Yeah, I definitely remember it very, very well.
Ray used to tell me all that stuff, and Nameless used to tell me all the clips and stuff that.
Oh, it's Havana.
It is, yeah. Okay.
Havana. Sorry, everybody that's freaking out for all the Black Ops 1 fans. Trash game. But you have a commentary clip, and obviously you commented. I want to hear more about commentary career, but that one clip that you've seen of Seth where he gets like 7 kills straight on Havana, that was Corey Dunn. That was commentating.
Yeah.
So how long did you commentate for, just for Call of Duty? I want to know that first.
Well, luckily, I mean, for me, like just Call of Duty, I only did Black Ops 1.
Oh, okay. The best game.
Yeah. So I did some Call of Duty 2 on PC, but it's nothing notable at the time.
Right,
I probably did a few online matches. I may have done like one show match or something.
Some like pro mod stuff.
Yeah, but nothing. This was COD 2.
COD 2. I meant COD 2 Pro Mod. There was like a little. I don't know if there was that.
Yeah. So did a little bit back then, but Black Ops 1 was the only one.
Yeah.
The way that kind of came to life was, so I was doing an internship with the Houston Astros, doing ballpark entertainment. So Minute Maid Park got a brand new video board, brand new ribbon, brand new multi-million-dollar control room. And I lucked out to get an internship during that exact same time frame.
Okay. You're just banging on trash cans?
Yeah, exactly. I didn't produce 80 videos that went into the arena. I didn't design the ribbon boards or anything like that. So a lot of fun other side stories. And my supervisor kept telling me, he's like, I Googled you.
Yeah.
And I listened to all your commentary. You need to get back into it. I was like, I don't know.
Your current employer is telling you.
Yeah, this is my supervisor at the Astros. Like Kirby Kander tells me, he's like, "Hey, you got to get back into it."
Yeah.
He's like, "You're just too good to not be commentating. Like you should be back into it." And I was like, I don't know. So I call up Chris. So Chris Puckett.
Yeah.
I was like, "Yo, Chris, you have anything at MLG that I could do commentary for?" He's like, "Corey." It's like
we have this shit game that's out. No one will commentate.
We need help with commentary for Call of Duty. Yeah. And I was like, he's like, can you do it? I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
I love Search and Destroy.
I'll learn all of the guns, all of the one gun.
Hey, that was perfect for me. And I screwed it up.
You like the FAMAS and there's another FAMAS.
Yeah. So luckily for me, like Counter-Strike, there's only a few guns that were used.
Right.
And so it was always fun because then at that point I reached out and they're like, "Yes, Corey, we need you. Be at this first event." Throughout all of 2011, the commentator, my co-caster, because back then we weren't casting just one match a day. I was doing about 12 to 14 hours a day of commentary for 3 days a week or 3 days a weekend.
Yeah, for $500.
Wait, what? Could have made. No, I'm just kidding. I got paid. Okay. It was definitely not what we get paid today. Or or we rephrase that, what I pay others today.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I went out there like Holiday Doc, if you remember him.
Of course.
So Holiday Doc was one of my co-casters for a while. Sean and some others were, and then the Nationals, Providence, Rhode Island.
Yeah.
That's whenever Alex came to do his first commentary. So Golden Boy, that was his first commentary ever, was with me then.
Really?
That was also that same year was the first championship win that Scump ever had.
Oh yeah.
So I've
with
got
leverage.
Yep. So I casted Scump's first championship, and I co-casted with Golden Boy's first big event.
It wasn't the same map though, right?
No.
Oh, okay. That's dope. Oh wow. I thought. Oh yeah, Black Ops 1. Because I remember Golden Boy. The first time I really think I knew about Golden Boy was Black Ops 2.
Yep, exactly. UMG, tons of UMG, tons of and so that's whenever I went to be a director behind the scenes at that point.
So when did you've told me bits and pieces, and there's every once in a while Corey's kind of like a brother that you have that every once in a while he'll give you little nuggets of lore.
He never asked me anything. I just have to tell him.
But when did you start commentating? From the rumor
guess.
on the street.
What's your guess?
The rumor on the street is that you were one of the few people that invented shoutcasting.
That is not true, but it's close.
It's close,
but it's not true.
Not
at all. So, this is a trivia question that I asked people to figure out like exactly where they were in their time frame. They're like, I've been in esports for a long time, and it was like 6-7 years, and I was like,
no, you're generation 1.
Yeah, you don't even know what Justin TV is at this point.
Yeah.
So Shoutcaster. So Winamp used to have a plugin called Shoutcast, and that's why we were called Shoutcasters back in the day. So we used to do internet radio. So my very first commentary ever was in 2004.
Okay.
And I was doing internet radio. So you don't remember DJ Wheat. So Marcus used to have this show called with Slasher and some others called Live on 3.
Okay.
The premise of that title comes from in Counter-Strike, we used to say Live on 3. And so what that would do is it allow people while they're watching HLTV in our internet radio on Winamp, they would pause the Winamp stream because we're saying we're going live on 3 in 3, 2, 1, and they'd pause.
They'd play.
And then while they're watching HLTV, right whenever the game would catch up to them, they would hit play because usually this was 60 seconds behind.
Wow.
And so that's how we'd get live video and in our internet radio at the same time.
So that's what users would have to do.
Yep.
And how many do you remember how many projected like listeners you guys have?
We're probably, I think, because we were doing regular season games, online games and stuff for the Cyber Athlete Amateur League, so CAL.
Okay.
And then which led into the CPL, which is Cyber Professional League, which they only did 2 events a year.
Okay.
And so when we're online, it was ranged anywhere between 50 to 250.
Okay.
And then when we got during the events, it was in the thousands at that point.
Yeah.
But we really were able to tell because HLTV would tell us our numbers. Like that was 100%. That's how many people were in. There's no question where the buffer or lag or what was happening of concurrence.
Yeah.
We knew exactly how many people were watching the game, and we knew exactly how many people were listening to the game.
That is insane. So that is prior to, I mean, what was commentary like during the time?
It was internet radio. So the reason why we were so descriptive. So Van Silly, he does.
So these are online events.
These both.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Okay.
So even for LAN events, we did the same. It wasn't until
there were no on-hand broadcasters.
Video. There's no live video stuff until probably 2005, 2006. But you remember YouTube.
Okay,
YouTube didn't exist either.
There's no live video.
Yeah, correct.
So if you wanted to watch, you had to go there.
Yep.
Holy shit. Yep. Okay.
So that's why HLTV, which turned into GoTV and everything else later on, like that's why it was so impactful. That's why CS was so strong day one. It's because we had a way to watch the game while listening to commentary at the same time. But yeah, no, like so Van Silly, he does VCT. He was an old brother of mine.
Yeah.
So another Alex, Joe Miller, who just left ESL. He was also a commentator back then. So there, and even Rivington used to be with so a lot of VCT guys who kind of made their way over. But it's been fun watching the progression because I get to learn a lot. You know, you know me well enough. For those that don't know, I love just knowing how things work.
Right.
And every stage of the game, as we progressed, I got to learn what bit rates were. I got to learn how to utilize peer-to-peer streaming and being able to kind of navigate all of the nerdy stuff. And then Justin TV and Twitch came out. I was like, stream.
Now it's easy.
Stream. And I'm going, well, we had to be mindful of like whenever I have this much data in an image.
Yeah.
It's like confetti was like the scariest thing ever is because it's so much data.
Yeah.
Which get nerdy. Put my glasses on.
That's fine.
But that's
shit people nobody thinks about. I love that shit.
So like you ever wonder if you're ever watching your stream, you're like, why does the confetti look like crap every single time whenever we watch it? Well, it's because that's the most amount of information that a screen could ever, because your bit rate's going to go through the roof.
Right.
Or it's going to hit a cap.
Yeah.
So you're only allowing your video to only do so much bandwidth.
Yeah.
And so you hit a cap and you're like, so then it starts looking blocky.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So I get to learn all that.
I probably should have known that, but I'd never thought about it before.
So I was 19, 20 years old when I learned all that.
Good Lord. And it's 2004.
Yeah. This is 2005, 2006. Yeah.
Okay. That's crazy. So this is pre-Discord, pre-OBS.
This is Ventrilo, Mumble, TeamSpeak,
Ventrilo,
Roger Wilco.
Now you're saying stuff.
Xfire, IRC, ICQ. There you go. That's for all the
holy
nerds.
shit.
Those are all the nerds that.
You could have just made all that up. I would never have known that.
We'll never know. We will. Comments will tell us.
Some nerds out there will know. Yeah. That is so sick. So
what's cool though is sorry to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
So IRC, so it's called MIRC.
Okay.
Most people don't know this. That's the back end that doesn't anymore, is what Twitch chat was based off of. So MIRC was actually text chat. So we used to have a whole platform. We would join a bunch of channels, and so we could be able to hop in and be able to watch. We'd even watch score bots. So that'd come through and say such and such killed such and such and stuff. So we'd see stuff like that as well.
Okay, like a live play-by-play.
Yep. And then we put Microsoft Sam on it, which is another throwback, and you just listen to it that way.
So you had people with 3 tabs open. You had people that were watching HLTV, counting down from the live internet broadcast.
Yep.
Hitting play and then joining a chat room.
Yep.
And that was Twitch.
Absolutely. All on one CRT monitor.
And then they just combined all of that together, and now you have Twitch.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. I mean, which makes sense because you got DJ Wheat with and the Athena twins and all of them who have that kind of like past history.
Right.
That took all the things that we learned over the years and said, hey, we like this, we like that, we like this.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I still remember how many times I messaged DJ Wheat about we need an audio only and a chat only on Twitch. I could go back to like years ago, and he's like, yeah, I think we should. I was like, yes, you should, because I love just listening.
Listening.
And they're like, so now we have. I mean, not because of me. It's
just
one of those. I just kept hitting him. I was like,
I must take credit for this.
You
have to code this.
Yeah, please. This will benefit everybody.
I think that I don't know if esports is there yet. It's probably getting there, especially on the League of Legends, Counter-Strike, maybe possibly Valorant side. But I think something that I love about football, college. I watch a lot of college football, college basketball. I love the home team radio.
Absolutely.
Commentary, and there's some elements that people do that, but I've actually tried to convince Hector, which I know it's not a good idea, but I just selfishly want it, and like we should have our own. We should get our own duo of OpTic commentary, and just
you have that.
What do you mean?
That's what the co-stream is.
Yeah, but that's not. That's a watch party.
No, we've lost the days where you actually can have true play-by-play commentary anymore.
Yeah,
I think we are unfortunately beyond that point now.
But you're not beyond that point in mainstream sports.
No, not at all. But mainstream and esports have been for a long time been two completely different.
I am on board with you. I can't stand when people compare the two. But for this particular element of it, which I believe is I can just maybe I'll just give. Unfortunately, I know Miles and Chance's day rate, so maybe we'll go somewhere else. But maybe I give two.
Miles and Chance love us. They're not. We got this idea.
I just want to. I want to take these commentaries. Who I think Miles and Chance. I mean, they're the best in my opinion, and they're really good. But on camera commentary in comparison to radio commentary is two totally different aspects of commentary. But I don't think enough people will tune into a radio station or the internet radio station to watch an esports event when they could just pull up Twitch. But that being said, there are a lot of people with office jobs that keep their. I've watched many Call of Duty events while driving on my phone, and I can't watch. Obviously, I'm driving, but I try to listen, and then you got to like damn near squint to hear what the score is, because they don't. It's not. Whereas you watch
I used to do that all the time.
Yeah, you watch you listen to a football game. It's 3rd and 5, trips right. Somebody he's behind center, shotgun or whatever. Like you can get like a sort of element of where everyone is on the field.
Well, that's exactly what we used to do. Whatever we were doing in a radio, we had to paint the picture. We had to give them the layout, saying right now Rambo's on top of A that's washing. He's got 2 players that are pushing short right now. Who's got an AK,
exactly.
And on an eco round, you have to continue to remind the crowd because they're tuning in at different points. So I think the question is what is enough to make you want to do it? It's not what you want, but what is enough to be able to say that it's worthwhile to actually have an internet radio? Because maybe that barrier is actually lower than what you think it is to actually say that getting a few hundred people listening at a time is that enough?
I mean,
start to decide at that point.
Weirdly enough, I think maybe one of the biggest things is that everything's monitored now. You can tell how many people are watching. You can tell how many people are listening. If it was on the radio, you have no idea how many people are listening to the radio. You have no idea how many people are watching ABC or ESPN. So I think there's an element of that. Whereas people, if they scroll and there's a Twitch station, there's a Twitch channel called Internet Radio, OpTic Internet Radio. Yeah. And we've got our in-house commentary commentating a Halo event, and it's got 6 viewers. No one's going to click on it because it's got 6 viewers.
My question to you is, do you have to show it?
I hope not. I would want a time when you don't have to show it.
Yeah, I think that it's for a platform that's like that, because at the end of the day, it doesn't need to be on Twitch, doesn't need to be on some of these other things. So you don't have to have a chat, right? Yeah. And you just say, hey, this is something for you, the worker that's in the office, or the driver that's going around town. Like, you've got something that you can listen to that that's dedicated to your experience. And I think that's what you're trying to hit. So.
Yeah, I was obsessed with it a few years ago. I was like, I think internet radio. I think I even hit you. I think internet radio is a big thing. I've come up with this genius idea, which is radio, but on the internet. Yep. No one's ever thought of it before.
Not once.
But I don't think there's enough. I don't think there's enough there. But I do love. I think being a college football fan and seeing the kick six. I don't know if you're familiar with it. The kick six, and then you hear Auburn. I can't remember if it's Auburn. Yeah, Auburn LSU, right? Yeah.
Chow or comments will help.
Yeah, and then you hear the home team's personal home team radio in their local area commentate it, and they throw it over top of the actual thing. Yep. It's so much of a different experience. It is pure bias because you're listening to your home radio, and I think there's something that that doesn't I would say it doesn't really exist, but the fact that you said there's watch parties does make sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would still go back to. Do you know how many people listen to that college stream?
No idea.
Exactly. That number's very low.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
And so again, you're just finding that level of barrier that might be worthwhile, because in the end of the day, that same thing that happened, I bet you how many people tuned in after that clip went viral.
Probably a lot more.
Exactly. So there's always a flow to things.
That's
too.
true. Yeah.
But cool. No, it's so yeah, I started in doing commentary in 2004, and I did a full 10-year span all the way till 2014, and got the opportunity to cast DreamHack twice, which was really, really cool.
Is this all Counter-Strike?
So those were Counter-Strike. Okay. I did Battlefield 4.
Battlefield. How do you commentate Battlefield 4? He's in the airplane.
I mean, you're asking young Corey at that point. So Golden Boy and I used to travel around and do a lot of EA stuff.
Okay, cool.
So we did stuff with Battlefield 4, Battlefield Hardline. There is a clip of the two of us up on top of a skyscraper in downtown LA with a helicopter flying from the bay as the starting soon countdown, and then flies around us on top of it while we're doing commentator and welcoming everybody to the show. So it's like that was at E3. So Alex, Alex and I used to travel a lot together.
All right.
And then. Even if you check out the credits inside of Battlefield Hardline, Battlefield 4, I believe as well, you'll see Alex Mendez and Corey Dunn in the credits as well for those games.
Dope.
So I think I always try to calculate. I feel like I'm missing games, but I think it's around 30 plus games, different types of games, including versions. So I'm not gonna.
Right.
So I did Counter-Strike 1.6 and Counter-Strike Source and Counter-Strike Global Offensive. So I was the first commentator for Source and for Global Offensive.
Oh wow.
Okay. So I was one of the guys who used to go around, travel, doing commentary for those games back then.
So sick.
Quick interruption before we continue the podcast. If you would like to support Around the Bar even further so that we can continue to get guests in, fly guests in, put them up in nice-ass hotels so that we can have a drink and chat together, please consider subscribing to the Patreon. There's a lot of cool content in there. We have an extension of the podcast, which is extra time with myself and the guests. We also have a couple shows. We have beer pong, and we have some relationship advice. We have a lot of cool stuff going on in the Patreon. So if you would please go check it out and support myself and Matt as we try to make this dream a reality. All right, back to the podcast.
So sick. So what was if you can remember off the top of your head, what is the best Counter-Strike match you've ever commentated?
So luckily a lot of those clips still exist out there. Mm-hmm. There was one in a CPL 2005, Spawn. He was going for one of the first iconic ninja diffuses.
Okay.
And so we were on Cobble. He was in, I think, a 1v4 or 1v plus.
Yeah.
And he was making the diffuse behind one of these boxes, and he had perfect timing. So the players ran out, and he was running in because they're like, "There's no way he's going to come defuse it." So they would go searching for him. And so I'm here doing a cast with his name is Who-Man. Miss him. It's been a long time. Nobody will ever know that name except for the very few.
Yeah.
And so we're doing this play-by-play, and he goes for the ninja diffuse. Well, everybody online was ripping into this post-event, was ripping into me and Who-Man for giving commentary because they're like, you gave away his position.
Right.
Well, most people don't know during that time frame, the Passion Pit, you're right up on the stanchions. Mm-hmm. And so the people who are around them saw Spawn going for the ninja diffuse, and they started cheering
they started screaming.
Crap.
Yeah.
And so they went nuts. And of course, we got some great professional teams. They're like, "Whoa, what? Wait a minute!" And they reacted to it, and they took him out right before. We're talking a sliver of the diffuse. They killed him right beforehand. Cold Zero. So a lot of my fun moments really come from directing.
Yeah.
Commentary was I had a lot of moments, but it's been so long that I can't remember them all anymore. Yeah. But there's one moment where Cold Zero, we're on Mirage, and he has this jumping op shot.
Jumping collat?
Yeah.
You directed that?
Yeah, I directed
What the fuck? Yeah. I didn't know that. Yeah. That's a top 5 moment in Counter-Strike history.
Yep. Yeah.
That's so sick.
So I directed that one. Again, it's having the right observer at the right time. Jason Baker, Sapphire, Still, all those guys. Like we had such an amazing that CS:GO major. We had an incredible crew.
Yeah.
Which I also give a shout out to Valve with being able to put the iconic symbol also on the map, so they forever remember. So it's
sick.
So they have like an op with wings, like
that is just so incredible,
man. Olaf Meister with the triple boost. So I was directing that one as
Oh
well.
yeah.
So we watched him like.
Where they ended up like banning that.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, it says like there's a sign that's like a little like park sign that says no boosting or something like that. That's up on the wall now. So they again, but again, it's the difference though is like Counter-Strike, you still have the same maps generally year over year over year. So being able to make marks like that makes sense. If you try to do that in Call of Duty or in any other games, it's hard to because the map always changes.
Do you now being in? I don't know how much of a Call of Duty fan you are, but you work in Call of Duty because you know you work.
I love the people,
but the game.
Yeah, I mean it's like in the end of the day, I'm a PC gamer.
Right, you're a tac shooter guy.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're taking search and destroy out of me. Like I love watching COD search and destroy. Especially, I still remember whenever all the pro players used to hate me as a commentator. Because I would rip into all the S&D strats.
Right.
So in 2011, I would say like, man, like, why are you not using smokes? It's like the tactics in 2011 for Call of Duty was hit A. Oh, it's working. Hit A again. Oh, it didn't work. Let's go B now. And like that's what search and destroy was.
I mean, that's still me.
There was a good time from search and destroy, and then whenever I'm just kidding. But I still remember where like Nameless and others are like, or even Krim was like, yeah, you were right.
Yeah, I mean,
because they started using smokes. Well, now of course everything's being GA'd.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And so it's like you're killing. Like, I think GA should kind of adjust based off of game modes and stuff, and give us a little bit more of what we want. But I have zero presence in Call of Duty to make those calls.
Oh yeah.
At the end of the day, though, like you need games that are entertaining. Not just strategic.
100%.
So
entertainment is the most important part of any competition.
Yeah, we're playing.
Or otherwise, you're gonna get the most competitive game ever, which is ping pong, and you're gonna be playing in front of playing the biggest ping pong match ever in front of 15 people, because that's just. Here, let me grab some more beer.
Sounds good.
You want a beer, Matt?
Yeah, you got Matt with a beer. So, whether this gets shared or not, I've always enjoyed working with Matt. So people don't get the chance to actually know a lot of what Matt does behind the scenes and how hard he works and watching him work late hours. So I always want to share that. Much love, Matt.
Matt is the fucking man.
See if I remember how to pour this.
Yeah, but I saw a clip of Shroud played in. Shroud's been liking Black Ops 6, but obviously
Shroud's insane though.
Tac shooter at heart.
I remember doing a lot of commentary for his games, and he was insane then. So, again, you're just gonna. When I went to Esports Awards.
Oh my God! Congratulations on your Esports Awards. Sorry, no. I haven't talked about it.
That may have been a segue. I may have ruined that. But,
no, it's fine. I get all confused, but
so when I was at Esports Awards, I get to the hotel with my wife. One, it was awesome. I was able to I brought my wife with me.
That's awesome.
And so she's been a trooper for 13 years. 10 years of being married, but 13 years that she's like dealt with me being gone and traveling and doing events and stuff. And so it's great for her to be with me and share in the moment too. But I walked into the hotel lobby and there's Karn. So for those that don't know, Karn is like the CGO at Fnatic, but he was also one of the old players from Fnatic and Counter-Strike way back when.
Okay.
And it was one of those just like, man, like we went down some like memory lanes on so many pieces. Like even at the after party afterwards, like it really was just me and Karn just hanging out, like just drinking drinks.
Yeah.
And we're just talking about some things. We're like, just kind of like, oh my God, I totally forgot about stuff. And 20 years is a long time.
Good old days. Yeah.
And so like, I still remember going back to the Shroud piece. So that Cloud9 team back then was so much fun to watch. So you traveled with them in Cologne.
Yeah.
Shout out to Hiko as well. And this is going to sound odd. Also to Hiko's mom too.
Okay.
I'll give some backstory. Let that simmer for a second. I'll get backstory to that second. And what was cool is I still remember whenever Hiko used to talk about a player. You may have heard of him. He's called Simple.
Yeah. I've heard of him.
Yeah. So I still remember whenever he first was coming out. So Simple was not known by anybody, and Hiko goes, "This guy's insane." He's like, he will absolutely
be the guy,
be the best player in the world. Like, there's no question. His ethic, his everything about him. Even doing shows and stuff where he's a part of it, he's phenomenal to work with.
Yeah.
I still remember whenever Simple, we were at one of the events, and he goes, it's like, I think it was like day 2 at that point, and he goes, "Hey, I can see the mini map off of that glass over there, just letting you know."
Wow.
And I was like, day 2.
Day 2. So that means everyone who sat in that seat.
Exactly. So one of the things that most people don't know, whenever during an event, competition integrity is key to me. I don't ever want the show to be like, well, they won because of X.
Right. Yeah.
I want them because of,
they won because of the bracelets and the drums and the stands and walkout. Yeah.
Those I don't care about. We were going to win that damn thing. I'm just kidding. So it's just those things like that I walk out onto the center stage and I literally look at every position. I sit down at every seat. I'm like looking at every angle and pay attention to that stuff. So that's how much I care about that piece. And so it's just fun to hear Hiko though talk about how awesome this player is going to be. And then now fast forward, which has been a big part of my life, right? So I see the moment, I get to live in the moment, and then fast forward and everybody else gets to experience it too.
Happens, yeah.
It's the same with all the broadcast crews that I've worked with. I've taught graphics operators. It was their first event, nervous. Like, am I going to do okay? Or like Golden Boy, whenever he turned to me, he goes, "Corey, how am I doing?" I go, "You're screwing up. You need to figure it out." And he goes, "Oh my God." I was like, "I'm just screwing with you. You're doing awesome." Like, so these all these little moments that you luckily have worked with me long enough. I'm a dad joke guy. I direct in a dad meaner. Like when somebody messes up, I'm like, "You know what you did.
You know you messed up.
You know what you did. We're good. All right, let's keep going." But it's stuff like that, and then but watching Simple grow, and then Shroud was another player that you just knew. You kind of get that feeling that they were just going to continue to be crazy and amazing. And then to wrap up the story, because I let everybody simmer on it for a little bit. So he goes, mom loved me as a commentator,
right?
Even to the point whenever I wasn't doing a whole lot of commentary, and so, but every time he goes like, "Corey, we have to get our selfie real fast. I got to send it to mom."
That's awesome. That's so sick.
So shout out to the Martin family. It's always funny.
Yeah.
Whatever. Just how many people have been involved and kind of interacted with stuff too. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think Shroud. I think I brought up Shroud.
Sorry, I derailed you.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I love that shit. The Shroud had played in like a gunfight tournament. He's been playing COD recently, and he's a notorious COD hater. Him and Pansy, those are the most notorious.
What are you talking about, Lauren?
She's the most notorious COD hater.
But she comes from Pro Mod.
That's why. That makes so much more sense.
You didn't. Okay.
I did not know that.
So I'm happy that I'm able to solve that. So I love Pansy.
No, she's the GOAT.
So Lauren is phenomenal.
Her and Hypoc they were my favorite. They're my favorite duo in Valve.
I'm glad I got to know Hypoc too during the PUBG days and stuff. So like that was awesome. Lauren's phenomenal too. But continue with Shroud.
Shroud is like a notorious COD hater, and he said something like he's been playing Black Ops 6. He enjoys the game, which when I try to sink my teeth in whenever I can. Whenever I get one of these people that enjoy COD when they normally don't, and I got him to play in Symphony's gunfight tournament, and as he's playing,
on all that.
What?
Kudos to you on all that.
Oh yeah, no, there was Symphony as well. I mean, Symphony did majority of the work, but Shroud who did he team with? Havoc. So he's teaming with Havoc. It was a hilarious duo, a very polar opposite duo, but they did well. They placed third, I think. And as he's talking with Havoc, he was like, "Wait, my chat's telling me a little bit about how COD esports happens. Is it true that the smokes and the snipers are banned?" And Havoc's like, yeah, well, the snipers, they get GA'd because the smokes are GA'd because there's issues with it. And then Shroud was just like, oh, I was thinking about watching, but I don't even want to watch anymore. And it's like,
yep. Nope.
Oh, like
I feel that though.
Take that clip, Shroud streaming to 16,000 people.
Yep.
Take that clip and put it in the GA chat.
Yep.
I think GAs are necessary in COD, unfortunately, because there's so much shit in COD. It's a couch game that is being played competitively. But I think we've gone a little too far.
I can't remember. It's 12 team leads, right? And is there anybody else that's involved in the GA process? Who's in that chat?
There is no one else. From my understanding, there's no one else involved.
See, that unfortunately is the thing that's missing. I'm not going to knock the competitive side, but they have their own perspective, right?
Of course.
So there was a reason.
They play the game 10 hours a day.
Yeah. So they absolutely have justification in some of the decisions they make in their own bubble.
Right.
But unfortunately, the reason why they have greater success is not just because of their talents alone, but it's because of those that are watching the show and everything like that. Yeah. The Call of Duty will continue to grow. It just might not grow as fast as you want it to if you kind of keep going down that same path. It's just my perspective of it.
As long as, from the elements that we can control.
Yep. Yeah, with 20 years of esports, you can't control nothing.
Yeah, that's true.
I've gone through some changes.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can't imagine. But
for some reason I'm still here.
I don't know why. How many times?
I could be an electrician. It'd be so cool.
So that's what Matt says all the time about being a dentist. I could be a dentist right now.
Yeah.
And so many people that I've had on, I was like, yeah, Matt wants to go back to school to be a dentist. And they're always like, go do it. I'm like, no, don't tell him to leave. He has to stay here.
But it's people like Matt what keeps us and lets us be successful. So
yeah, that's true. I guess. Yeah, he's the fucking man.
He'll hear this later. So.
He will. He's not here right now, but he will hear this later. So when you transition from Matt, we just talked about you for 5 minutes.
Oh, it's so good.
When you head back, when you transition from commentary to director, how into, because commentary, director to producer, that's your pipeline, right?
So commentary to directing. While a mix of doing true producing, and I can explain the differences between directing and producing because most people still don't understand.
Give me explain like I'm five.
So directors call things that are happening in the now,
right?
And producers are telling us where we're going.
Cool.
So producer will say, "This is what our next up. This is the story we need to hit. This is what's happening. These are the deliverables we need to go through. All that stuff." Yeah. A director is seeing what's literally in front of them. That's why I love directing more than I love producing.
Right.
I love just feeling out the moment. There's still this iconic moment. I apologize, I'm derailing again.
No, go for it.
So there's this moment.
It's a bar show.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers. Yeah.
Cheers.
Yeah. So in X Games, so I directed 3 X Games.
Cool.
Yeah. So
all 3 Counter-Strike?
2 Call of Duty and 1 Counter-Strike.
Oh, you did both I didn't know you did both the X Games. I'm so you could write a book on your history.
There's a book
on your history.
I'm just messing with you.
Oh, I was like, damn.
I'm in this it's called Geek Boys or something like that.
Oh, yeah,
and it's like a footnote of Corey was a caster. And that was it.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm in a book.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't read it though. So X Games was so cool. But it was all the things were just falling in place. Whilst we were in Aspen, it was gorgeous. It was during the Winter X Games. It was phenomenal.
Okay, so this was the Counter-Strike one.
Yeah, this was the Counter-Strike. Okay.
So,
I'm hoping I'm telling the story correctly because I can be fact-checked like crazy now.
Yeah.
So there's Kenny S.
Right.
I think we all know who Kenny S. is, hopefully.
I think we do, yeah.
He likes to use a big green gun.
Yes.
So back then, I had camera operators that literally were gamers, which is also really cool.
Awesome.
So it made my life. It's like having you and Roger and Matt being my camera guys on a show. So you're giving me every angle. You're listening to the show. I can say one word, and you're got it, and you just be there.
Scump.
Yeah. No, exactly. So, which is what I love about whenever I shoot stuff at the stadium. All my crew is my tier A crew that always knows exactly what I'm looking for. They know that I love them to be good salespeople, and I just buy stuff.
Yeah,
so they sell me ideas, graphics, replays, whatever, and I'm just going, yeah, I like that. Oh, I'll buy that too.
Yes.
So during X Games, Joe, he showed me he's a phenomenal videographer. He's now making bank off of like commercial grade stuff.
Okay.
But he had Kenny S has this tattoo that says "Be all you can be" in English. He's a French player, notably. That's the part that I might get fact checked on. But he showed me the tattoo, and I was like, got it. Remember that.
Yeah.
And so we're on Dust 2. So this is old Dust 2 where on the T-Spawn, the round starts really fast. So you have your freeze time, and then boom, once the round starts, CT's already trying to jump across mid-doors, and you could get shot like instantly.
Right.
And so I tell my guys, like, hey, remember that, we'll keep it. And so it's about 2 or 3 rounds later, I'm like, hey, what I want you to do is I want you to read his arm, pull back, and then push in on his eyes. And he's like, got it. I was like, all right, ready, Joe? All right, make your move, take Joe. And at that point, I told Steele, who was one of my observers, who was since he couldn't play anymore during that time frame. So Steele, fun stories. So Steele, I told him, hey, I'm going to Kenny next. I need you to be on him, like no matter what. He's like, yeah, click.
Yeah.
And so pull back, push. That was the perfect 15-second time frame. The move, pull, push, pop, change, 3K that round.
Ooh.
And it's like those like moments of just feeling it and just knowing it's like he's 100% going to hit this. Like he's going to hit this. He's like on fire right now on some of the shots. And so that whole clip, that moment in time is like, yep, that's stuff that I remember. Now, fans at home are going to go, oh, yeah, that was a cool shot. But like for me, I'm like, that's the storytelling. Yeah, exactly. So
I mean, those are your gameplay moments.
Yeah,
those are your moments that you scrim for. So do you miss, because of that being a broadcast, do you like being in charge of the broadcast as well?
I love directing.
Okay.
So managing an entire crew from camera operators, audio engineers, shaders, replay ops, the entire crew. I love it because it's in the morning. So we get there in the morning and we have our initial talk. And I give them, I'm very much, like I said before, I'm a dad.
Right.
So I give them a dad joke. I pick on one individual person in the crowd. And I give them crap for a second for showing up late. And everybody laughs and ha-has. And then I say, hey, this is our goal, what we're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
This is the thing. This is the vibe that I'm going through. And we've done different vibes from hyper-professional, I need you to be polished, need you to be on cue, to the point where we're doing off-season, we're just hanging out. Or for those that don't know, like Level 50 LAN that we just did at Halo, for Halo 2. And what was great about those types of things is we go back to content.
Right.
We stop focusing on polish, and we focus on the content. And that's what's reigns supreme. If it's a bad camera shot because we can't get the angle, we still take it because the content is there. We don't wait for the camera shot, which is the other shows that I have to wait to get the right camera shot before I sell it and be able to show it on screen. Yeah. But for stuff like that, I'll give bad camera angles all day.
Of course.
Because it's your show. No, I'm just,
just kidding. No, I mean, it makes sense.
But it's the matter of like, it's getting the content that's out there. So like we were doing Level 50 LAN in Vegas a couple weeks ago. And we were showing Sims. Well, Sims was like off camera, and they were talking about him like religiously at that point. And he's like, "Oh yeah, Sims is over here too with us." And I literally show his shoes dangling off the side, and he's behind this whole block, like another camera or something. You just see his foot just tapping.
Yeah.
And then I cut back, and it's like,
what the hell was that?
Who takes that camera angle? This guy. And the reason for it is because you go, got it. I know he's somewhere also on set.
Yeah.
And you get the satisfaction because how much do you hate whenever somebody talks about things that are happening off camera and you never see it?
You never see it, yeah.
It's like this anxiety thing is like, you just don't know.
Yeah.
So my goal is always to satisfy, even if it's just a piece, to be able to give that. So directing is, going back to the original statement, directing is what I care about. And it's what I've loved most is living in the now, capturing the moment, and just calling a show, because once you're done with the show, it's done.
Yeah.
There's nothing else that comes after that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And I think putting together events, I've had number one passions a lot in my life.
Yeah.
But events have fluctuated in that top moment a lot, especially as of late. So.
Events are stressful.
and it's a great stress, man. It's such a good stress.
Yeah.
It's a stress that it eats you alive, and you don't want to eat, and you spend months and months planning an event, and then when it happens, you have nightmares the week before of everything going badly, and then it happens, and then you're over, and then you sleep for 3 days, and then you feel great.
What always cracks me up is it's the final moment, right? The stream ended, the show's over, and then everybody's hugging it out. It's it's just like you just went through war together. You're like, yes, 100%. You're my best friend now.
If you guys wonder, if you've never been to an event, or you've never worked an event, or you've never even thought to think about what it's like to work an event, and then you see these MLG pictures or these level 50 lands or these X Games pictures of all of the crew taking one picture together. They used to do it in Gears of War all the time. The whole crew taking a picture. They do it in Halo as well.
Yep.
If you're wondering why that picture is taken, is because everyone just went to war.
Yep, exactly. Yep.
They went to war against the chat, against themselves, against elements they can't control, against the game. Like, there's so much that has to fall in line in order for events to happen.
What I love about those moments too, though, is that you have really tough conversations that have to happen then.
Right.
And so, in our day-to-day jobs and our, day-to-day lives, like, we question, do I bring it up now? Is it the right time? Can I, what's the context of what we're dealing with? But in events, it's like, yo, I need this to happen. This is why. Can we figure it out? Cool.
Yes.
Yeah. No. Cool. Yeah. That hurts me emotionally, but objectively, I'm going to say X, Y, and Z.
Yes,
Cool. Got it.
yes.
How about this?
100%.
Cool. We're on the same page. Let's go.
Hey, this isn't working. Don't do this again.
Yeah. Exactly.
If it's Friday, we've got 2 more days of this. Don't do this again.
But it's
I liked what you did here. Do that more.
Yeah. Exactly.
Boom, boom, and that's everyone.
Yep. You have to be objective at that point.
Yeah.
Because the moment that you let any emotions tie into it, you lost them.
Yeah.
That's the reason why my little sister and I cannot work together. I still remember she was a graphics operator for me, and she's like, he just keeps yelling at me. I was like,
I'm not.
Oh no, this ain't gonna work.
That's so good.
But much love though.
When it comes to, I ask everybody this, when it comes to esports directing, producing, are you competitive in any sort of way? Do you watch other events and other esports and you're like, I can do better than that? Or you're thinking, or are there other events teams or directors or producers that you're like, I want to either be better than them, or I want to take inspiration from
them? So I apply that we learn from everything. We experience the first time sometime. So everybody gets the opportunity to learn certain things at certain times, and so this was whenever somebody does something that's different. I learn from it. I go, man, I appreciate. So I congratulate all my peers and their successes and what they do. For me, I want everyone, and it sounds super cheesy, but I want everybody to be successful in the right means.
Yeah.
So I look at others and take information from them. But don't get me wrong. Whenever I see something bad, I cringe because I know the.
When you ever see 2 girlfriends put side by side,
my eyes get big. Going, wait a minute, that shouldn't have happened. Yeah. But it's stuff like that. I know what they go through. There's been some directors that are out there that I'm like, this ain't for you.
Yeah.
Luckily, more recently, that hasn't been the case. There's very few. A lot of the directors, Michael Liu, who does for Esports Engine or EFG now for Call of Duty League, Mike is great. He's hyper passionate. He's great to work with. And then you have a lot of the other team members and stuff that work across the board for HCS and everything that I get to work with regularly. But there's some amazing directors that are out there that are definitely someone to look at to say something good. The only call out that I say goes back to is start shooting content again.
Yeah.
Start living in the damn moment and stop focusing on what's next in the run of show. That is my only call out to all of my peers right now. Is we got to get back to doing events again. Right. We got to get back to seeing the damn moment.
Yeah, we talk
and live in the moment.
You and I talk about it a lot behind the scenes, but it's not a secret that over the past 4 or 5 years, all of esports, it's not just Call of Duty, it's not just Halo, it's not console, it's not just it's everything.
It's everywhere. Everybody's producing.
Has become super, almost robotic in a sense. It's very corporate, very There's for a while, I think esports tried to mimic real life sports, which is what we talked about.
I mean, even I fell into that.
Franchising and replicating what they did 40 years ago for baseball. It's like, why would you want to do that?
Well, baseball's the greatest sport. I'm just kidding. I'm just
but I think there's an element of what MLG did that just had it right. I think there's so many nerds in the world, and you want to put as many nerds as possible. There's a reason there's a Comic-Con and not a Hunter x Hunter con.
Yep.
I don't know much about Hunter. Oh, it's Hunter. Sorry.
I was going to let you slide.
I'm sorry.
Comments wouldn't have, but I was going to let you slide.
Is a Comic-Con and not a, what's a comic? A Hunter con. I'll just go that.
An anime expo?
An anime expo. And there's an anime expo and not a Hunter expo. There might be, but regardless. It's because you want everybody who likes anime to be in the same spot. You want everybody that likes video games and competitive gaming to be in the same spot. And I think MLG had it right. And I think money came along and it ruined a lot of shit. And but I think the vibe and the element of what MLG was and what, I'm sure what Counter-Strike was when you were commentating and early producing that, we kind of need back. And I think you're doing a good job of trying to get it back.
What I love about what I get to do at OpTic is, especially working with our sales and sponsorship teams, is just being able to create engaging activations and stop focusing on logo slaps and all that stuff. So, like, even for our Cash App activation at Champs, it was like this Warzone photo op, but then we did the 6 lockers, which is a throwback to our Champs that we did back in 2017. Yeah. Like, it's being able to do little nods to different moments.
Yeah.
And really resonating the experience and less about, well, we're going to hit this many, like this logo is going to appear at this many times. That is a factor. That is a factor. But the selling point is the photo. The selling point is the video. It's the moment that that comes from it. Because even in that Cash App moment when we were for the lockers, people were shaking. Yeah. After they broke the locker, opened the locker, they're like, "Oh my God, I just won this thing," and they're shaking.
Yeah,
you're not going to get that out of X, 100 impressions. Like that person, you might have now a lifer in that moment. It's like, man, thank you for that. So
that's true.
Little pieces like that matter.
Yeah, and like the in-venue stuff we're doing, where Blake and I are trying to give people whiteboards. They have to draw a certain. There are people that can't hold the board. Yep. They're so nervous that the lights are on them, the camera's on them, and then there's a huge whatever sponsor it is logo right next to them. I mean, I think there is just an element of you can incorporate without just posting it on a.
What was your first event?
My first event ever was 2014. It was UMG Philadelphia.
So when you walked in those doors, when you first got your lanyard or you got your wristband, what was that feeling like for you?
It was unbelievable. I was no surprise. I was a pretty big OpTic fan, but the first time I walk in, luckily I had been working for a little tiny website called Mainstage Games, which had like an online tournament ladder, which eventually became UMG Online. Mm-hmm. And then I went to a UMG event. So I was on staff my first event ever.
Go.
And so I had like the badge and everything. I felt like the shit. And I get in a elevator and Fears walked on as a Call of Duty Pro, old Call of Duty Pro.
Yep.
And I remember I'm sitting there and Fears is in the elevator with me and there's this other like lady and she sees that I have the events badge and she's like, "Oh, like what are you guys doing? You guys you seem like you were a big deal." And I was like, "I'm nothing like this guy." And I pointed to Fears. And then he got off the elevator and I remember being so nervous. I was just fucking nervous just that a pro player was in the elevator with me. And so yeah, I mean you remember everything about your first event. And I remember everything about that event.
So that's what goes into every event that I ever produce. I go back, I take myself as best as I can.
Yeah.
I try to remember my first event in 2002 and walking into the room, commentary echoing through, crazy booth activations, the chills knowing that I'm amongst my peers, watching a game and seeing some crazy moment and having my everybody else around me also react to the same moment. I use the when you're at a esports event, the beauty of the crowd is especially if you went solo. So even for those that go to an event solo or scared to go to an event solo, trust me, it's still worth it. And the reason for it is it's almost like when you go to a comedy club. You're sitting there going, I think he's funny. Can I laugh? And then the other person next to you starts laughing. And you're like, I can laugh too. Like, and so you live in the moment with everybody else. And then by the end, we're high-fiving each other. We're enjoying it. We talk about it. We go to the lobby, the hotel lobby. Mm-hmm. We drink a beer, and we're next to somebody else, and we're just talking through the thing that we just said. Yeah. It's truly about being amongst your peers who also have like-minded things.
Yeah.
If you just enjoy the moment, and that's what it's all about. That's what I want to try to achieve every single time that I produce an event. So even though I went from doing commentary and doing play-by-play, being the voice, even though I've been on the broadcast and directing shows, then I built a stadium in 2018.
Yeah.
And then in 2020, 2019, I started focusing on event production and building events. I always remember that it was the most important part to me was about recreating that moment.
That first event moment. Which goes back to always for me is that badge, that piece that you can take home with you. Yes.
I share it all the time on Twitter of my wall of badges. And the reason why it's important to me is because I can literally look at that badge on my wall and go, man, I remember whenever I was doing commentary with Joe Miller doing World of Warcraft PvP where Team Pandemic won the match in Wuhan, China.
Exactly.
Like,
you don't
what
get
the
that.
heck? Like it's like, remember, I will not get that if I just go, oh yeah, I went to an event.
Right.
And so that's why it's so important. So if you ever go to an OpTic event or it's an event that we produce and you
get something physical,
you will 100% get something physical from me. That's why even the Cash App Legacy match, we did all 8 players. So general admission, we had all 8 players randomized. So it was almost like a trading card game. You got to get different ones from the event. It's little stuff like that goes such a long way.
Oh, I mean, that's you saying that, and you've been preaching that to me for 5 years. It's directly influenced how I've started a new thing called Icons, which is like an online.
Proud of you.
And
proud of you and Atlas.
Thank you. Myself and Atlas have been busting ass on it. Online production, online events production, and then eventually we'll see where it goes from there. But something physical is so important. So every Icons event, we've made it a staple, a big part of the company and the organization of what we're going to do is every online event has hardware for it. It's got. Because we focus a lot on creator events. So anytime a creator wins, you're going to get a trophy. You're going to want somebody on your team is going to get a trophy. And a good example, I think this beer is starting to hit. A good example of like something that made it. I was like, that's what I'm fucking talking about. Is Marksman, who's a S&D creator. He's been playing pub S&D for 15 years.
He's so awesome.
Yeah, he's such a good guy. He just won.
That's a name I haven't heard in a while either, though.
Marksman. Yeah. He's just one of the. He just won a S&D tournament, one of the S&D tournament kickoff tournaments, and I'm like, I'm giving him this. He is going to have a $10,000 search and destroy trophy. Wherever he wants to do with it, he's going to at least have it. And I think that's like a good element. I think it's a good piece of esports that is important because a lot of shit is digital now. We live in such a digital, obviously world, but our environment is so digital. You watch everything online. You play matches online. You play the game online. You don't do anything in real life. So when you go to an event, it's important to at least bring something back, something that's not digital.
Yep. Yeah. And it's something that you're going to have other opportunities to get different types of merch and other swag that comes with it. But damn it, you're going to get at least one thing that's 100% that you're going to be able to have. Because it's the other aspect too, is like if we're ending up doing like meet and greets and stuff with the event, like you got to have something that's tangible. It's so funny. I hear people like, oh, we're going to do a meet and greet. And my response, this is also shout out to Justin Rojas previously.
Right, yeah.
Like we both believe it's like, well, then we have to give them something.
Right.
You have to because they're like, well, they'll bring stuff. It's like, But if they don't,
yeah.
It's like no, like you give them something that they can actually have, and it's it's very little skin off of what we're trying to do. So it's
posters. You can print them off at Walgreens.
Don't tell them that. Budget's really expensive. It's going to cost a lot.
No, it's gloss, extra gloss on the posters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just a very particular type of gloss that comes from.
It costs $200 a slice.
Not that far. Too much. But yeah, so it's little pieces like that. So hopefully the fans love it.
Yeah.
Each badge and stuff that I've been able to kind of be a part of, that immediately for me even goes up onto the wall.
Yeah.
But the trophy, dude, it's so important because I'm always going to attack those that are watching, listening, or in attendance. You guys, with what you're doing with Icons and what you've done in the past with TST, like being able to really like give them trophies as well.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, you saw it like when Pam, right? Like Pam and, and Nick were like, wait, you? No, me. No, you?
Yeah,
no, me.
exactly.
That's how I still have softball trophies that are sitting on my fridge.
Yeah.
And I have softball T-shirts, for things that I've won. I'm like,
I'm going to keep this.
That's the one I won, right? Now I can't fit in it, but it's whatever.
Yeah, that's the Bella Canvas shirt that I won.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
My favorite one, probably will be my favorite one forever. And shout out Mango and Joey, but Lucky was playing in a Beerio Kart tournament in the second off season. And it was one of my first times I was like, I think I want trophies for everything. And I gave him a belt. It was whoever won the Beerio Kart won a belt. And he took like an icon, a hero shot with the belt. And Tori took it. She's incredible. And then next thing I know, Mango and Joey have a podcast together, and the belt is in the background of their podcast set. And I was like, it's like a sign from God. That's what it was. It was just like everything you do have something physical. Yeah. And that's important.
It's been a thing that I've lived by, something either you put on your wall or put on your desk, something you can remember about. So
speaking of physical trophies, congratulations formally on your esports award.
Thank you.
You won the Panel Choice Award in the latest esports awards, and it was awesome. You looked a little nervous up there.
So, one I was trying to like put two and two together because I know what esports awards and what it's like in the production of it.
It's got to be hard to separate.
So I was watching. So at that exact point in time, the prompter basically stopped working for Chris, and Chris and I had many conversations about said prompter at previous shows and stuff. So it stopped working for him, and so he basically is like, you know what? I don't care anymore. And so he's like goes through his like kind of
sounds like Puckett. Yeah.
So Chris and I had a lot of fun over the past few days, and especially as he wanted to get his hair cut there. In LA, and I took him to a mall.
There's a sports.
It was awful. He's like, I should have realized once I saw the price. I was like, yeah, that's on me. Anyway, but yeah, no. When I went up there, I had a goal. I thought there was another different type of award. It's kind of like shared what it could have been, and so I was like, okay. But when it was the Panel Choice Award, I also still appreciate how awesome it is, because that is truly a vote amongst my peers. I'm never going to win the clout battle.
I don't think you even want to win the clout.
So that's never going to happen, even for this. So those that are even watching this, thank you.
Yeah,
you really are the true champ. But yeah, so like for me, when I got up there, I had something I wanted to say, but it's kind of like this podcast here, this Around the Bar. Like, I've lived so much, and it's gonna sound egotistical for a second, but like, I've been around so much. I've had so many different opportunities and jobs. I've worked for so many different groups. By the time I was 20, I'd been to like every major city in the U.S. and like traveled to China twice, and like so I've been all over the place, and so it's like, how do I share this moment? It's like, okay, so I was like, okay, let me give a shout out to like where I started, and then once I got to literally while I was reading, I was like realizing, I was like, this ain't it. This is not my I appreciate the crowd that was there, but I go, this wasn't for the people that were in the room.
Right.
This is for the people like you, people like Matt,
right.
people like Karn, people like everybody else that was around. It's like, I'm going to keep this to myself. And so that's where I was like, you know what? I told my wife, I was like, I'm going to go back. I'll read my full speech later because it really did mean something to me.
Right, yeah.
So I was like, I said I kept it. So then that's what I posted later on Twitter saying, like, here's what the real speech was going to say. And it went over all the different people that I was trying to thank.
Yeah.
And, I didn't thank you directly, which I should have. That's on me.
No, absolutely not.
No, you, Atlas, Blake, George. Yeah, but no, honestly, like working with you on the creative side, like I appreciate all that stuff too.
Oh yeah.
But it was really about those pieces. Even last night, it was funny. I was hopping off. I saw a tweet come back in saying, actually Facebook blew up for me too. Which is funny is I actually had more comments and craziness and like nostalgia going through Facebook.
I can imagine.
With gamers.
Yeah, because that's where gamers started.
Yeah, so I had like Quake, Quake reached out. I had Fatality send me a text. Like I had a bunch of old people that I was like going down memory lanes on everything. So my brain was just going.
Right.
How many do it? Because I did commentary for Quake 4. I did commentary for all these different things. So it was just wild. So, but I had to do that. It's just one of those I had to kind of tie it up with a nice bow because on stage was not the right. It's oddly enough was not the right time to share the right message.
I mean, I felt the same way. I was up there and I was like, I'm going to keep it short, sweet. I forgot to thank Hex. You thanked Hex. I didn't.
I didn't thank Hex on stage.
Oh well, but it was in your speech.
It was in my speech.
It was in your speech. Yeah. I didn't have a speech. I went up there and winged it.
Oh no, so unfortunately, I've done enough things now that I realized in the moment I'm gonna miss so much. So I wrote something.
Oh yeah,
I wrote it the day before.
You have 23. What is it? 3 years you've been working with Hex. I'm working with Hex from before I started. So I fucked that one up. But I thank my mom. You thank your mom.
I think my mom as well. That one hit both speeches.
Yeah, I didn't fuck that one up. So that one worked out. But congratulations on the esports award. I mean, I think those of us that know how much work you put in know that that shit was a long time coming.
I appreciate it.
Where are you putting it?
So it's already up.
It's already up.
So I got home. I was like, I know exactly where this is going to go. So I moved all my OpTic stuff. I'm just kidding. So I just a joke.
Moved all your Dallas Empire stuff.
Yeah. So I've got a huge badge wall. That's at home. And I literally just moved out a small 6-inch sliver, and there's a shelf that I just put in, and the award sits right in front of all my badges. It actually looks super dope.
Hell yeah,
it looks really good.
That is dope.
So I just posted that recently too, so it's already on the internets.
Absolutely.
So
well, if you want to know where mine are right there. Those are mine right there. Where do you put yours, Matt? Did you get one, or did Hex steal it?
No, I got one.
Yeah. Where is it?
It's just in my office, like on a shelf next to the Huntsman 100K plaque.
Heck yeah.
That's dope. You just tap it every morning before you go to work. You're like, fuck, this is why we're doing
this shit.
I love this shit. If you guys enjoyed that episode, we have more available. Go head over to the Patreon and we talk more about the history of esports. We talk about his Mount Rushmore of who inspired him and what he plans on doing in the future. So if you guys want to hear more of the conversation, click the link down in the description to listen to more of me and Corey Dunn talking about esports in the last 20 years, 2 decades of what's been going on in this nerdy industry. Go check it out. And I hope you guys enjoyed. Peace.